Hi everyone. Sorry that we haven't been here for probably almost 2 weeks now. We did have an investigation that we just did recently. If you catch our Lurking Spirits channel, you'll get to see it. It was a two-parter. We got some pretty cool stuff on there. We did have a movie review one for horror movies, but we decided to scrap it because it was kind of like all over the place. And we wanted to get back to this week, today, to the Cody and Satori um, debunking, hoopla, whatever you want to call it. Before we get to that, though, however, we're going to do our little thing we do every week. So Gabrielle will give her state facts.
Got 3 state facts. Alright, the first one is Kansas City, Missouri claims to have more fountains than any other city in the world apart from Rome. Second one is going for a drink in Montana. If you ask for a drink ditch, it means the water. For example, whiskey ditch will get you a whiskey and water.
Interesting.
And the third one is the Memorial Stadium, home to the Nebraska Cornhuskers football team, has a capacity of 85,500 or so. On game days, it becomes the third most populated place in the state after Omaha, which is 434,000, and Lincoln, which is 268,000. I'm dyslexic, leave me alone.
Pretty good facts there, I'm telling you. Liking us.
You guys gotta give me credit this time. I didn't stutter once while reading that.
Woo-woo.
I mean, except for the last part because I got it backwards. But
okay, while we were in this little hiatus that we didn't want to go on, but like I said, we did have that investigation. We were also doing some research. There's every site that you go on is Cody and Satori this, Cody and Satori that. I wanted to believe them. I know somebody kind of bashed me a little bit for saying, how can you like them, when I said they're nice people. I'm just going to make this analogy. It's like a lawyer. A lawyer represents even a serial killer because that's their job. They don't want to do it. They know the serial killer's guilty, but outside of the courtroom, they're probably the nicest people on the face of the earth. I wanted to give Cody and Satori that benefit of the doubt. However, since more and more of the evidence has come out, and because of the fact that his cancer, depending on how bad it is, and even if I'd scratch that, just bringing up cancer was totally wrong, and I don't know. I think right now it should be at the point where they should just come out and say...
It almost sounds like they're kind of using his cancer as an excuse for what they're doing.
And that's wrong. And at this point they should just come out and say, hey, you know what? We are collecting money for this, because they tried to say they didn't, but they're at the Conjuring House. You're paying $2,000-$3,000 depending on who you are to go check out that place. And if they do something for you, they seem to only do their thing if you're a very popular person.
So technically, when they said we don't take money from people directly, they were right. They don't take them from them directly, but they still take it from them because they're part of the Conjuring House and a few other things that they are part of.
And the thing I was talking about with Gabrielle, and it's a sad subject in that, I mean, I hope I'm sure he dies, I don't want to call him a liar. Cody's cancer, I hope he's in remission and everything works out well for him. But the thing is, the one comment that she made to me, she said that if he tried to do any of the cracking and that of his joints, with his cancer and his bones as fragile as what they are, that would make it worse, like he would not be able to get up, whatever the statement was. I don't want to quote something wrong, so please forgive me on that. But I was telling Gabriella, in actuality, if you think about it, if his bones are that fragile, if he moves even slightest, he's going to be able to crack his joints even easier, so he's going to be able to make those sounds even a little bit easier. But the fact that he has been doing this stuff way back makes it like, I'm going to call out right now a couple people that we've been watching, and I got to give them kudos because they've given us some good information to work with here. The first one I'm going to call out is Bad to the Bone. Love you. I hope you're tuning in and watching us. Apparently you did watch one of our videos. Awesome debunking. I mean, we love you. We think the stuff that you have brought out is just amazing. The other one is Mythos. Love you too, dude. I'm telling you, the stuff that you're coming up with and the way you're debunking these people is just amazing. And Beardo, got to give you kudos too, buddy. The stuff that you're bringing up is just, you're giving us stuff to work with. So thank you. But we are going to bring up some of that stuff today. And the first one is we're going to go back to the fear factor.
Pee-wee, don't do that.
One of them, and I'm not sure, or maybe even a couple of them, did bring up that when they were doing the thing about Dakota's grandfather, at a certain point when they were being questioned, all of a sudden, I think Dakota asked a question, and they acted like they didn't know how to answer it, so right away then, it was like the spirits hurry up and changed to Connor. All of a sudden, Connor came out. They wanted to say something to Connor.
I think they were trying to talk to Tanner, and they didn't have the answer for Tanner, so they went to Connor.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Oh yeah, this person's trying to come through for Connor."
Yeah, they kind of like backed him in the corner, and it's like almost like they didn't know how to answer it. So right away, the spirit wants to talk to Connor. It started spelling out Connor. So that was kind of.
No, it was Alex. It was Alex. It was
so
Alex.
Obviously we did do our research as well as we did. We really did. It's just I had this prepared almost 2 weeks ago, and then like I said, we had that investigation and other things came in. Of course, the dogs have been keeping us busy, and I hate using that excuse, but I've been setting up other investigations for us, and it's just been so. Please excuse if we're a little bit not right on cue with some of the quotes or information, but pretty much what we're saying, we did our research.
You can do your research too.
Yeah.
If you don't believe us, go find these videos and do your own thing.
Now, what has bothered a lot of people is Miss Satori, which I'm not a basher. I really don't like being that way, but Satori, I can't show my feet. Maybe I might think about it in private with select people because of foot fetish people out there. Bullshit. Bullshit. We are calling it bullshit with a big B and a big S. Yes. Because if you watch any of these, Bad to the Bone, Mythos, Beardo, any of them, they have the clips where I guess exploring where Josh had found this information and had given it to them. I think, don't get me wrong on that. I mean, I don't want to say that that's 100% sure, but I think that's what. But it was going back to 2019, and they were showing Satori and Cody, and they were in this, supposed to be like a demon house, and the lady had all kinds of paranormal activity, and they focused in, and there she is in flip-flops, showing her feet. There was also another clip. She was in a building, and I don't think they said where they were at, but it was a bunch of females was in the room, and they were doing a demonstration of their
They
gift.
said where it was, but I don't remember.
I don't remember if they even said it, so if they did, I didn't pay attention to that, which it doesn't really matter. But a bunch of people there, and they wanted to show them their gift, and Satori's standing there. She said, "Let me take my shoes and socks off first." She said that, so for somebody that doesn't want to show her feet, she said that to those people that let me take my shoes and socks off first. So, like, what do you say about that, Gabriella?
Yeah, load of bullshit. Just take it in pile.
I mean, we got so much from the last one. Like, there's another one Mythos noticed when they were doing their thing. Cody has, if you watch some of his clips, some of the videos that I believe Bad to the Bone had shown, you can see him, he like has to move around. There was one video in particular that he was at a house, and I don't know if he was with Satori or if he was with this other strange woman from way back, but he kind of was like stretching and moving and everything. And at one point in one video, they were dancing. They got like said, let's celebrate, and they're dancing and celebrating and having a good time. But soon as they said, okay, let's talk to the ghost, he kind of slowed down, and he had to make sure his one leg was on the floor. And I agree with Mythos. It seems like he favors his right foot. And when Sam and Colby, when they had him out, when they were kind of questioning him a little bit, when they took him to some of these different spots, or was it Exploring with Josh? They had a camera, they went up to him, and they was kind of focusing on his feet, and one of them made a comment like, I wonder if we can hear the sound is loud here. And it was real loud, and they moved back, and the sound, they said, well, Cody said, well, let me see. And Satori did say something, like, when they moved back, it's Satori moved to ask closer, and they said so they could hear better. And she says, well, can you hear, is that enough? Is that enough proof for you? And, could you hear it better?
That was
that Sam and Colby?
That was Sam and Colby,
yeah.
Because he was like, they were like, oh, where is that sound coming from? And they're like, oh, it's like right under them. Oh, we're going to move over here. Or where is that sound coming from? Oh, it's right in that same spot. It's always under Cody.
And they did take the camera, and he kind of did go around, and they tested it. And at the one point, they moved back. There goes my clock again, of course, every time we videotape. But at the one point when they moved back, at first there was really nothing. Then all of a sudden you could hear like the slight taps. And we watched a video of this father and his son, which is really interesting. His son must have been maybe 9-10 years old. He was pretty young, and he could mimic the exact sounds that Cody and Satori did, and he could actually even make it sound like it was coming down the steps.
He made his parents believe that there was a spirit in the house that was walking down the staircase, and then they were like, well, that's crazy because we don't see anything, like it's not happening anymore. He's like, oh, that was me. And then he shows how he does it, and you can literally hear like that thumping sound, the exact same.
And he was able to do where it sounded like it was coming down the stairs. It sounded like it was beside him. It sounded like it was over in another area. It's just the stuff that we've been catching on Cody and Satori lately is just amazing. And it seems like from right now, Gabrielle and I have a theory about the Sam and Colby thing. The more I watch them, the more I like them, but I don't understand why all of a sudden they squealed on Cody and Satori, but then now all of a sudden they're saying no, they're not fake, and they're backing them up, as well as Jason Hawes, which I love Jason Hawes. I just think, as a father, you're gonna stick up for your kid in that, but he probably don't know. He probably believes.
I feel like he's in denial. He's like, my daughter wouldn't do that, and he's known Cody since taps was a thing, like, way back when, and, like, why would he have any belief that anything was being faked? So
now, one of the other things we saw is right back at that house that we were talking to, where it was a younger clip back in 2019. They were in that house. There was a hardwood floor, and there was carpeting. And at one point, Satori says, do you want us to move to the hardwood or on the carpet? Which works better? She said that. Which works better? Why would you have to worry about how well it works if this is the spirit coming through?
This was in the same clip where she's wearing
the flip-flops. Yep.
Too.
Yep.
But yeah, she looks over at Cody, and she's like, would the hardwood or the carpet work better for you, or something like that? And he was like, well, let's do it on the hardwood. She's like, okay, yeah. And then they continue to do it, and of course his knocking worked magically. So
Yeah, it's just like we've been watching. I mean, I'm sure if you surf YouTube, you're gonna find that's the biggest thing on. No, I think it's still just as hot as what it is. And I kind of feel bad that we're doing a video too about it because right now I think what they don't need is more exposure because that's what they're feeding off of. But at the same time, there's still the people out there because of being fans of Sam and Colby, and now that Sam and Colby kind of changed their mind about it, are going to say, well, if Sam and Colby says they're legit, well, then they're not faking it. They're
To me,
legit.
the whole Sam and Colby and Cody and Satori thing sounds like hush money. It sounds like Cody and Satori was like, oh, you guys have a big platform, you know, you have a lot of followers. We'll get a lot of followers if you join up and we become like one. All you have to do is tell them that we're not faking it, and we'll all be free. Everything
Which
will be
leads to, not to interrupt her, when they were at that house in 2019, Exploring with Josh was there. And he was with his friend Seth. And they were watching him and they were kind of questioning and everything. And Josh, I believe, said they would have, let me see, people would believe that they are real because of how popular they are. Meaning, Exploring with Josh and Seth was so popular that if they went, because Cody and Satori it was actually Satori called up Josh to come over to that house. Now, I want you here in particular. And because of Josh being so popular, it's like Josh said, if Josh and Seth came out and said, oh, what they're doing is legit, Exploring with Josh is so popular that they're going to believe what they said, and that we think that's exactly what's happening with Sam and Colby. Sam and Colby are very, very popular. They're very hot in the paranormal field right now, and especially with this, their names are coming out constantly. I mean, we're bringing it up. So what better way is, first of all, they said that there was fishy things there, suspicious, sus, as the newer generation would say, about them. But then all of a sudden, Cody and Satori wanted to have a meeting with Sam and Colby. And after this meeting, all of a sudden now Sam and Colby says, oh no, they're legit. Something is
Sounds
pretty
like hush
stinky
money.
in Denmark right now, folks. Pretty stinky. So,
Hush money.
have anything to say on any of that?
All I gotta say is hush money.
Now, if you get back to the one that kind of started this through the roof when Project Fear interviewed him, there's something really suspicious too that I believe it might have been Mythos might have brought it up. I'm sorry guys if I'm getting which one of you wrong. I do apologize. But when Dakota said, hey, do you think if I went upstairs by myself, do you think if you stayed down here, you would be able to hear the footsteps going over to me and them approaching me upstairs?
I know where you're going with
And Satori goes, oh, I don't know. And she said she had mentioned she doesn't know if their energy vicinity would carry it that distance. Now, Ghost has an energy vicinity. Doesn't make any sense because when they first started down in the room, they were able to hear the footsteps coming because they looked even above, coming from the upstairs, walking down.
They can have them coming from the upstairs to the downstairs, and
they
to
said
upstairs, from the other room into the other room. Like, not only that, when Sam and Colby did their little investigation thing, when they stayed there for like a week or something, they had them go to this place that they had never been before, and they were still able to talk to the spirits in like this gym area. But I guess the ghost vicinity or
the energy
vicinity was hella wide that day because shit, I mean, you go off, they must have been following them or something because you go off into this random place that you've never been before. But the vicinity of the ghost must have been wild that night because everything was working the way that it should have.
And that's what doesn't make any sense about the whole thing, because they had it coming from the upstairs down, so it can come from the upstairs down, but it can't go from the downstairs up. Or if it's already upstairs, just walk from the one room to the other to see what Dakota was doing.
They even did it outside. Like, you mean to tell me that you can't do it from downstairs to upstairs when Dakota asks, but when Sam and Colby does it, you can go outside, you can go in this little gym area, you can do it with slippers on, like, what?
There's just, folks, come on, like, we pretty much believed them up until we saw the third episode of Project Fear, when they were actually doing the interview. And then we kind of watched a couple real quick mini clips, and that, especially that 2019 one. But when we started watching these other debunkers coming out, and we started watching more and more stuff, and then we went back and rewound the Project Fear one. We rewound the Exploring with Josh clip, and rewatched the Sam and Colby, and wait a minute. There's so many times where you can, if you look very, very close at Cody's feet, you can see, especially in the older ones, not so much now because he's perfected it now, but in the older ones, you could see where he was kind of making a slight movement on his right foot. His right foot is the one that he favored, and Mythos brought that out.
Honestly, Mythos is probably right. It probably is his ankle doing it. But he could be doing both, because
to make the difference.
If you look in the older videos, he has shorts on, and you can't see his ankle popping, or you can't, like, no matter what angle you're at, you can't see that happening. And you'd probably be able to see that, and you'd definitely be able to see, like, his sock moving up and down or something. But I think that when he has shorts on, he does the toe popping thing, and then when he has pants on, since it's covering his ankles and, like, his socks and everything, he does the ankle popping. So Mythos, you're probably right with the ankle popping. I literally saw you do it.
Yeah.
So, and it made the exact same noise. So I'm definitely not doubting you in any way, shape, or form.
No, the evidence that those three in particular, I'm not to disclude anybody else, but those three in particular, like, we've been watching a lot of you, and love you. You guys are awesome. Although, Mythos, there's one thing I'm going to bring up. I love you, dude, I'll tell you. Anyhow, getting back to somebody in our comment did say something about the other woman, where they're like, "What are you talking about, the other woman?"
Oh, that was Spit Dragon.
Yeah, matter of fact, Spit Dragon. Hey, cheers to you, buddy.
Hey.
I'm a big fan of you too. Thank you for your comment, but. It was brought up that other woman. Well, we went back and we started doing research, and if you go before he met, I don't think he wasn't even involved with Taps yet. He was definitely not with Satori. There was this other woman that he was doing his investigations with.
I think I said his name wrong. I think it's Spitfire Dragon.
It's Spitfire Dragon.
Sorry.
Yeah, and he was doing, ironically, the ABC thing with this other woman way before Satori came up with the idea. And the other funny thing is when Satori says, well, I seem to go through the alphabet a lot faster. I don't know, when we were watching it, Cody was going through the alphabet pretty fast, because there's a couple times he had to stop and go back a couple letters and everything and spell out. And we always noticed too, and one of them brought it up, I can't remember which one, but they all brought up that one of them will go back and they'll kind of stumble on a letter or two, or they'll only bring up one letter or two. And ironically, a lot of the time whoever they're doing the reading on will say something like finish up the name or say something, and all of a sudden they say that exact phrase or the word. It could be a number of words, but they'll come up with that exact.
Or names.
Yes.
And there's like tons of different names that could start with like a T or a D or like, all these names that have so many different, that could be so many different things, they automatically know what that name is before it's even fully spelled out.
And Satori was saying about she'd have to have, well, I think Tanner said it would almost be like you have to have a photographic memory to pre-program yourself for like names and stuff like that. No, if you know you're going to be with somebody as popular as Project Fear, Sam and Colby, I know Twin Paranormal was there, but I don't know if Cody and Satori was there at that time. Paranormal Files was there already. I don't know if Cody and Satori did anything with them as far as reading. She only focuses on really, really, really popular people, I noticed. But they'll get and they'll, I lost my train of thought where I was going with that. It's getting late. So.
Whoops.
But no, they'll get and they'll focus on. Satori will say, "Well, how would I remember that? I can barely remember my name." But yet, folks, those three that we Bad to the Bone, Mythos, Beardo, they all brought it up. You can research this stuff, and
within 5 minutes.
If you're calling these people in and you know you're going to be there, you don't have to have a photographic memory to remember what a nickname is. That's not going to take a photographic memory.
One of them brought up, sorry Mom.
No, go ahead, go. I want you to jump in when you can, because...
one of them brought up, I don't remember which one, and excuse my eye twitching if you can see it, because it's been driving me nuts all day. I haven't been getting sleep since, like, a week ago. But anyways, one of them brought up that... My eye's twitching, I can't remember what I was gonna say. Oh, what were you saying? I gotta remember. What were you saying?
I was talking about how she said about photographic memory and you can easily look it up.
Oh yeah, okay. One of them mentioned that if you type in a family member's name or something, that the other person's name will come up, and then you'll have that name in mind, but you don't have to recognize any other information from there, because the person that you're pulling the shit off on is going to be like, oh my god, that's my grandmother, oh my god, that's this part of this family, and she's probably reaching out to me because of this. They'll explain to you, so you don't have to remember all of that information of what part of the family they are, or if it's the grandmother, if it's the grandfather, if it's the aunt, if it's the uncle, who it might be. So, I liked that,
And
too.
the funny thing about it is they did bring up, you can get some of this information. It's like Dakota said, hey, you can go on my mom's Facebook page and you can find out what my grandfather's name was, what his nickname was, about the cigars, blah, 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 which I, blah, 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 I did not say blah, blah, blah. Anyhow, but you can also go on obituaries. Obituaries, a lot of them, 99% I'm going to say of them, if the family, a person that deceased, had a nickname, they're going to put it in that obituary. And they're also going to list all the next of kin. And,
especially if that's what they were called by literally everybody.
So it's not that hard. You can basically, even there's sites. I hate to think of it because it's rather creepy, but there's sites that you can go on. You can type in a name and you can bring up their name, their nickname, where they live.
It's so creepy. Especially nowadays, you can literally type in someone's name, pay like maybe a few bucks, and then boom, you have every single piece of information about that person. You can, their phone number, where they live, where they lived before, who their spouse is, who their family member is, literally anything about that person.
A possible relative, the relatives, exes, if they were divorced, if they were remarried, if they're living with somebody, because even in obituaries, when you get obituaries, they'll say that.
In about 5 minutes or so.
Yep, they'll tell drug records, any kind of criminal records, anything like that. It takes just a matter of a couple minutes. You can find all this stuff. And it's just like amazing, you know, the stuff that's coming out about Colby. And not Colby, Satori and Cody. I think for them, like, they're right now, and one of these people they were talking about brought it up, with all this going on, it's feeding them. It really is. It's feeding them, and it's making them. I mean, it's like they were known before, but now anywhere you go on YouTube, probably TikTok too, I would imagine, any of the sites.
If you're in the paranormal
Yeah,
community.
yeah, exactly. If you're in the paranormal community, you're going to hear Cody and Satori. You're going to hear that, and everybody and their brother is debunking them, and their name is they're through the roof now since this all came out, and they're reaping in all of that, and for them to ironically all of a sudden say, "Hey, Sam and Colby, we want to have a little talk with you." And then next thing you know, Sam and Colby comes out and says, "Oh yeah, they're real, and they were doing this." I think they did a little interview video with Jason Hawes, and I love Jason Hawes. But Jason.
And there's another thing that's a little suspicious, but it could have been the way that the guy said it. When they were at the Conjuring house for that, like, 7 days or whatever, they brought their friend there, and I don't remember what his name is. He had a very, very simple name. Jerry? Was it Jerry? I think it was Jerry.
I think it was Larry, wasn't it?
Larry! It was Larry. They brought their friends, but Larry seemed to have been, like, targeted a little bit more because they knew more about him. But he was like... In part of the video, he was like, "I wonder how they know so much about me." And he's like, "Oh, that's right, I signed it." Meaning the contract that you have to sign when you go into the Conjuring house. And because that was a little suspicious that he said that, Sam kind of like nudged him. He was like, "Dude, you shouldn't have said that, bro."
So apparently, that was brought up that this contract that you have to sign, there's a lot of information that you have to fill out on the contract. So obviously with this Larry, some of that information came off the contract. But Larry says, he says, "I'm pretty quiet in the social media. I don't like really put a lot of stuff out there about me." Like, I think a lot of people didn't even know what his last name was. But one of them, and I think it was it Mythos?
Fucking shit.
One of them went and they did a little surfing there, and they found a relative of him, Owie. They found a relative and found out all the information they would have needed to know to get and say what they did when they were there for this Larry in particular. So it's just a matter of... we find it funny too that they're at the Conjuring house, and it seems like there's only select people that they will perform their talent for, and it's usually involving like somebody that's like exploring with Josh, Sam and Colby.
Again, you have to be like super popular, unless it's like a private reading and it's not posted on the internet. But you have to be like super popular, like these YouTubers, or you could probably get like an Instagram folk that's got like millions of followers and shit, and they'll be like, "Oh, hey, you're into paranormal stuff, come visit the..."
Now, we follow a lot of people, especially in the paranormal, since we're investigators, and I know a lot of people, when you want to try to debunk us, we try to debunk ourselves when we go. So, I mean, if you watch our latest video, you'll hear me in the background, "Hey, I was just trying to debunk that, that's all."
And me too, they were like, car lights outside. It was like, they're like, "What's that light?" It was like, "Oh, car lights outside."
Yep. And we were down in the one room downstairs, and I said, "Well, it could be the rain outside," but they had just come back in and the rain had stopped, so it wouldn't have been the rain. Now, it could have been runoff of the rain, but she duplicated the exact same sound that was down in the room that we heard, so we debunked that it was the rain. But regardless, trying to debunk, we watch Call Me Chris, Spooky Boo, which are best friends. They adore each other. They're big friends of Sam and Colby. Call Me Chris came out and she said, "Hey, they got duped." So
yep, they got scammed.
You know, they said it, and they absolutely adore Sam and Colby. Sam and Colby was at Spooky Boo's house, and They were doing some investigating in that and helping cleanse some parts of Spooky Boo's house for her because her house is having activity, which with all this stuff Spooky Boo has in there,
Girl.
yeah, girl, you got it. She does have to watch, especially that one mystery box you got, honey. You should not have put your address on there. We worry about you. But anyhow, when you're getting people like that saying, hey, they were duped, and then now Sam and Colby's coming out and saying, hey, no, they're real. What did you say to call me Chris and Selena? And then all of a sudden now you changed your mind on it. It's just too much. But please, guys, if you have a chance, I wish we had a setup here where we could show the clip that we're talking about sometime
Eventually,
in the future.
we will have something where we can show you, because right now I'm good at editing, but we don't edit these videos, and it takes a lot of time to put clips.
Yeah,
from
it would be
different
that
things
type of editing, only to add stuff to or not to
into
take
the
anything
video. So with the dogs and literally everything else, I don't have enough time to do that. I just
Yeah.
have enough time to put the beginning of the video, watch the rest of it, and then put the end of the video, and then
And that is the biggest
send it
thing
to
right
you
now,
guys.
the time management. We just don't, I mean, just to get these in for all of you guys, you know, we love that you're tuning in, and our last one here went over pretty well. We do have that giveaway too. It's not much, but we still have that $10 Walmart gift card. If somebody can spot in one of our prior videos something that was a little bit off about it, I'll contact you, you DM me, and I already got the information. The card's yours, so first one to do that will get that card. But we're just like, we're just trying to, there's just too many things going on, and we watch so many episodes that even if you want to believe them in the slightest, which we did give them the benefit of the doubt, it's just, guys, we smell something rotten in Denmark. Bullshit, 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 bullshit.
Everywhere.
I just, like, it really stinks. It really does. But it's...
For the people that still believe that they might be truthful in some way, shape, or form, I feel bad for you because there's so much evidence. There's so much evidence that proves otherwise on how they're doing it, where the voice, the sound is coming from. He's even done it with multiple people, and they claimed that they can only do it together because their energy matches so well.
And Satori said that it works better for them if they actually touch. Well, this woman that he was with way years ago,
They were doing like,
yeah, they did touch.
like,
yeah, they
it was very,
actually,
very slightly.
yeah,
It was like maybe
they
that
did touch.
much.
And so, I mean, it's like right there again, folks. You know, it's just
Bullshit.
It's bullshit. But Mythos, I love you, dude. But you had a video we watched where you were debunking the flashlight, and you explained how it's done. I agree with you. People probably do that, but we can debunk what you debunked. And I'll tell you why. We used the flashlight a lot. We kind of was like, okay, is there just something going on with the flashlight? What's happening? Because what we do is we just get an average flashlight where you turn the front of it, unscrew it where it's loose. So your thing about hot and cold and it's set and then it has to warm up, you know, it makes sense. 100% I agree with you. In any other circumstances, I'd say, dude, you know your shit. I agree. But if you watch our last video, and if you watch especially our Crybaby Bridge, watch it real close, because on our camera, when we asked questions and the flashlight responded, you could see if you look real closely, and I think it was even in our one private investigation too. Matter of fact, I think it was in James's private.
house.
If you watch the flashlight real close, you will. If you look at the beams, the light beams that's coming out from the flashlight. When we asked a question and it turned it off or on, you could see the beams literally turn off or turn back on with our questions. Now, no, not every question that we asked got answered, but a spirit's not going to answer every single question that you ask either. But we had spot on. And if you watch, like I said, really close, you will see that beam where something literally is turning it. And there's been incidences in our last video that we did, our second part 2. We asked a question, you could see the beam starting to go, and it went and went and went, and all of a sudden it would not turn off. And where they're like, what's going on with the flashlight? Gabriella went over after that, and that flashlight was loose. When she went over there to check it, that thing was tight. When it turned it back on, it turned it tight. She had to
It was like it didn't understand. When we said turn the flashlight, if you just turn it slightly, it'll turn on. I think it turned it the other way. It had to have, because it was like tight. It turned it the other way, and it literally turned it off.
You could see it. Yeah, you could see it too. If you look real close at the beam, you could see the beam of the light going like this.
Or on. It was on.
It turned it on, because you're there like, why is this not turning back off? And you went over and picked up, and even Chase,
like,
I think, said,
oh my God, what the heck happened here?
It said, well, did it tighten it up? And that's the thing that we do. Like, and normally what you'd said with the warmth and the cool and it's that makes sense. And a scientific debunking explanation, that makes 100% total sense. But with ours, like when we turn that bulb, that front part of it, if you watch that beam, there's been times where it'll turn it too loose, where if you just slightly touch it, that freaking thing's going to fall off. Or the spirit would turn it tight, where it got so tight, she would literally, or Chase would literally have to go back and put it back in that position where it could answer our yes and no's.
Not only that, but also in our latest video, you'll hear us asking question after question after question, and nothing is happening.
Nothing.
One question more, we get the REM pod, a cat ball, and the flashlight turning on all at once, and the flashlight does not turn back off. Now, in your theory that we do believe to be true in some cases.
Yeah, in a lot of cases.
In a lot of cases, it would have had that little hit, and then the miss, and then the hit, and then the miss. But it didn't do that.
Nothing.
It stayed off the whole time until that one thing happened, which was like a spike of energy.
And everything went off.
Yeah, literally everything. It was the REM pod, it was the cat ball, and it was the flashlight. So that spike of energy where everything went off, and then it stayed on that entire time until we were about to leave, I think, and then it was, you could see it turning
to
off.
Go off.
Yeah.
But that's the whole thing. Like, normally I'd say, fuck. Whoops. You debunked us. You've debunked us. You know, the whole flashlight thing, you know, you debunked it. You know, damn, you know, we like using this thing, but that makes a lot of sense. But if you watch those videos in particular, and we said, well, how in the heck did it turn that tight again when there's no way? You go a little bit this way or a little bit that way makes sense with that theory. But if you watch very close, especially the best one I think was the private home investigation and Crybaby Bridge in particular. At Crybaby Bridge, if you zoom in, you can see that beam. To the questions we ask, you can see it going down, you can see it going up. Like, would say,
I think the audio in that one, if you're trying to listen to like what we're saying, if you do go back and watch that video, sucks, because I'm pretty sure one of us forgot to turn on the microphone.
Well, we didn't have good cameras at that time either. We didn't we really did not have good cameras that time. Our early videos, you're going to see all kinds of audio problems. You're going to see all kinds of video problems. I mean, it was a hot mess. But of course, I mean, we've been doing this for a long while. But for actual taping, you know, for YouTube, for our channel
professionally,
we've only been doing it for a little over a year. But we've progressed a lot over the course. Do we need improvement? Absolutely. Everybody. I don't care how long you're out. There's always where you can improve it. a lot of the people complain about us talking over each other. We try not to, but even if you get, I mean, we had somebody just cut us down on lurking spirit. I wouldn't say cut down. I don't like using that, but they brought up. They said you're talking over each other. You can't hear anything, and this and that. Especially in our second private home video, there's so much going on. Even if you get Sam and Colby, when they investigate, they joke around all the time. Probably the worst ones is Overnight Boys. They're like Zach Bagan and them. The Overnight Boys, they can't do one episode where they don't act like a bunch of goofballs. And I'm sorry, Alton and you guys, I liked you guys. I started watching to begin with, but it started getting too monotonous. You started turning into Zach Bagans. And that is a big no-no. You guys are better than that. You guys have the capability of being very, very good. I do like you guys as far as investigator-wise, but some of the stuff you're doing, and you're carrying it a bit the Zach Bagan
forcing
direction.
your friends into doing things that
they're not comfortable with. Some of them, in particular, said, no, I don't want to do that. And you more or less, well, like, it's almost like you're not a team member if you don't do that. And that's what shit that Zach Bagan pulls off.
You're such a wuss.
Yeah,
Just do it
no,
for the video,
I'm sorry, you don't do that.
people.
Now, we saw, what was his name? What's the one that was with him that goes with Twin Paranormal on occasion? What's his name? From Overnight. Corey?
It's Corey.
Is it Corey? Corey is, we noticed that Corey was one of them that, because he's very religious, was very uncomfortable with a bunch of the stuff that the Overnight crew, Alton, would tell him to do. And he made it perfectly clear, but of course he was part of the team, so sometimes he did give in, sometimes he stood by his grounds. And no, we noticed when he was on with Twin Paranormal, he conducts himself way different, because Twin Paranormal don't use Ouija boards. They don't do that ritualistic stuff and that. They don't. Now, I did see, which made me a little bit unhappy, I did see Ryan one time do a blood prick in one of those things where they went to different houses, and I didn't like that. I don't think.
That was with
the overnight. And I think, it's the influencing thing. Hey, hey, we're doing it, you can do it, and it's, I still adore Twin Paranormal, and I'm glad that they don't do that, because that leaves a bad taste in your mouth. And that's what you'll find out with us even. We will not use Ouija boards. We will not do rituals. I kind of am wondering, I thought about trying to do scrying, but with the mirrors to begin with could be portals and gateways from spirits to travel in and out, which we found out in our last video, if you watch it, that hinted that maybe the spirits are coming in through the mirror. Scrying can be very dangerous, and there was another pair of investigators that, well, it wasn't a pair, it was a team, and I can't remember what the group was. The lady, they wanted her to do scrying, and she says no. She had
also Overnight.
She had a very, very, very bad experience, and she told them no. And they literally looked at her and said, well, then you're not being a team member. But she stood by her ground, and she did not do it. And I give her kudos, because
I think, and then they made Corey do it.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure Corey had to do it, because they were like, well, fine, you know what, And then he had a bad experience of where I think he had to get blessed or something, because it was not good when he saw something and it wasn't good.
And folks, I mean, all seriousness, I know we don't really like to tie in our lurking spirits with this channel, but we kind of almost have to, especially in cases like this. And we're in the same family anyhow. Gabrielle and I are both part of that, so they tie in together. But guys, be very careful. A lot of you people, you don't take it seriously, and you'll go in and you'll do the Estes method, or you'll go in and you're joking around, and if you're not really feeling good, like our last investigation, I hurt my rib, and so I was in a lot of pain during that investigation. So if you see me, you're going to see me sitting down a lot. I was in severe pain. Kind of worried me a little bit, because if you're not feeling good, if you have a lot of personal stuff going on, if you're vulnerable in any way, those spirits can latch onto you. They can affect you in ways that you don't want to be affected by. That's why we take our job when we do this very seriously, because you can easily be affected. Not zag bag and like affected every time you go somewhere something's going to happen. But please, 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 especially the Estes method. Gabrielle and I have already done that, where we went to this. You kind of have to, since you're hearing that white noise, you kind of can go into this other level. Like you're there, but you're not there. And once you get to that certain point, you have to watch, because you can be taken somewhere.
In my old room, when we had like so many different things happening in there, we wanted to know more, and so it I wouldn't say targeted me, but it kind of did. It was always like, Gabriella, hey, I want only her in here. Can she be in here? Talk to me, blah, blah, blah. Like, always me, for some reason, in my room. So I was like, okay, you know what? Fuck it. We're gonna do the Estes method. I put the headphones on, and like Mom said, when you go into the Estes method, it's almost like you're entering another realm or something, because if you're so deep in there, so concentrated, and you're like not supposed to have any thoughts in your head, just that white noise coming through and the things that you're hearing. But sometimes you get so concentrated that it almost feels like you're floating out of like wherever you are. And then when you take your headphones off, you feel dizzy, or you feel like, whoa, where am I? And sometimes you don't even know what you're saying, if you've even said anything, because you're so deep in thought.
If you watch me at the one private investigation in South Carolina, there's a couple things I said and did in that video I didn't know I even said or did it until I come out. And the one was like, I booped somebody. I went boop, and I didn't even know I did that. Another one I went beep boop boop beep, like I was making some kind of sound I didn't know. And there's a couple things that I said I didn't know I said. It's because I got into that level there. Like, you want to, if you're going to be a good investigator when you're doing the Estes method, you have to kind of just let everything around you just totally go away and focus just on what you're hearing.
Well, that's like in our newest investigation. I did the Estes method, but I wasn't like so entranced in it that I felt like I was going somewhere. I was aware of like what I was hearing and everything, but even then I didn't quite remember what I said, or if I said anything at all. And it's so loud in your ears that when somebody is talking to you, you can't hear anything. So when you take the headphones off, you're like, did any of that make any sense? I don't know what I was saying, or I do know what I said, and it just didn't make any sense to me.
It kind of worried me a little bit too, because I think Gabriella may be a little bit sensitive, and for especially when we were in South Carolina, she had a lot of stuff going on in her life at that time that was affecting her deeply. And when we did this last investigation, her name come out a couple times, and that's why Abby said, well, how about if Gabriella does the Estes method, because of her name being called. Kind of worried me a little bit, because if she was already being targeted by whatever was there, it was kind of dangerous for her to be the one that went under there, because her name did come out again. I don't know if you know, but she said her own name again under there, and she said that there was a spirit by the name of Daniel that seemed like, we're not saying demonic or evil.
Gabriel.
You said Gabriella at one time. Watch it we can watch it tonight before we go to bed. You said Gabriella, you said Gabriel too.
I know I said Gabriel.
You said Gabriel, but you said Gabriella. And yeah, it was kind of, it kind of scared me a little bit, because if it's targeting you like that and then you go under that, if you get to that plane, that might be the one thing that they want is, okay, hey, we're focusing on her, and here she is now, we're gonna.
Yeah,
it's
that
kind
probably wasn't the best idea for us to do that.
Yeah, you kind of have to watch.
We felt like nothing was evil there. There might have been like a presence that was kind of like scary, but not evil or malicious in any way. Except for spoilers. The tripod fell on me in our newest investigation while I was walking to the door of the other room, and I don't know how it happened because if I tripped over it, I would have fell. There's no way that I wouldn't have fallen if I tripped over that because I couldn't see shit. It was super dark in that room. Everywhere that we go, all the lights are out, and the only thing that you can see is if we have our flashlights on us, or if maybe there's a light in the room that's very, 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 very dull. But in that particular room, there was no light. I had to borrow somebody's light because the tripod it's like 8 feet fucking tall, and I was trying to have like a top angle of that room so you could see literally everything, but for some reason that spirit in that vicinity would not let me record.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. It was in part one. That was a two-parter, by the way, and in both parts you'll see something involving the camera and that, which without giving too much out. But then again, like I said, you kind of watch, and if you watch like our videos, we do try to debunk a lot, as I said earlier. So we try to debunk our own stuff. We don't need to worry about somebody else saying, "Hey, those people are fake." No, we'll try to do it ourselves. We'll try to get an explanation of why something happened.
We can. If you're like, we'll be like, "Hey, did you do that?"
Yeah. We try to debunk it, but the thing is. You just have to watch and just be very careful. Sometimes too, you'll hear Chase in particular saying evil or demonic and whatnot. Depending on how it comes through, some people's perception, if you get, okay, let's say, and I shouldn't have to explain this because if you're a very true paranormal fan, you're going to understand where I'm going. When somebody says somebody is evil, that doesn't necessarily mean demonic or satanic. It just means that there was probably a bad person in life, and their perception, the person's perception of them, is as evil.
Like, let's say a child sees a man that was like abusive, or
that man would be evil.
He would be evil.
Yeah.
That would be the evil man, and so on and so forth.
We very, very rarely like to come out and say that we feel something demonic or bad. Now, there was a couple times in Gabriella's room. We're not saying that it was demonic and that, but some of the stuff, like, we were starting to get at the very end scary. Before we moved. We were getting poltergeist activity. Things were being thrown. When Tom was away for almost a month and a half, in order for us to get this house, he had to be up here in Pennsylvania where we stayed down there. Gabriella stayed in the bedroom with me because her bedroom was filled with boxes.
I couldn't sleep in there. I couldn't even sleep in the living room.
Yeah, it was just getting so bad. But we would put on the spirit talker and necrometer. Sorry, I'm starting to get my eyes starting to twitch now too. When we started putting on that, we never had it happen before, but everything that was coming through in Latin. And when we looked it up, it had either something very religious or something very demonic, the meaning of the words, because we had to literally search what the words meant.
There was really weird words. We thought maybe at first it was like an elderly person that, like, if you're an older person, you learned Latin in school and you learned how to write it and speak it, especially if you're like part of a church or something. That's part of you, so you need to learn that. So we were like, okay, this is probably like a religious being, or maybe like a really elderly person, and they were trying to come through with the way that they spoke to others. But then we soon realized that that was not the case, and we started getting things like body parts and like choking,
hell,
and like all these demonic,
burning in hell,
all these demonic things, like, and we were like, oh my god, what are we gonna do? And
Legion.
So we were like, we're turning this off, and we're ignoring the REM pod. We're ignoring everything.
But Legion didn't come through in English, though. We had to look it up. The Latin word came up, and they're like, what does that mean? It's a legion. What's legion? You know what legion is if you know anything about the devil and the Bible.
It was getting bad.
Yeah,
it was really bad.
Really
and especially
scary.
since my dad was away. It was like it was
It
targeting
yeah.
all of the females in the
Yeah.
house. My brother, he was pretty fine. He was like doing his own thing, and he wasn't really being targeted. You know, every once in a while he'd go into the kitchen and something would fall down or something. But it was mainly me and Mom in the bedroom when, at one point, we even put a REM pod on the nightstand, and we were like, okay, if there's anybody in here, then make the rest of the sound, or copy the sound, and it was, and then it went like, doot, 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 doot,
on the REM pod.
on the REM pod, and we were like, oh my god,
Yeah.
and we're so
Yeah.
upset that we didn't get that on camera,
Yeah.
because that would have been incredible. Well, it was like,
we looked at each other and we're there like, we must shit our pants.
Did I just do that?
Yeah.
And we were like, we were mind blown, because we were like, there's no way that actually just did that. It didn't just finish it. It did the whole sequence. And we're like,
and here's the other thing too, and it's kind of morbid, but we lost so many pets when we was in that house down there, and at least
couldn't keep plants alive.
At least
either.
like 3 or 4 of them died just under very odd circumstances. They were as healthy as an ox.
If anybody has any guinea pigs, let me know. If, like, I know that they only have like a 5-year lifespan. I know that, but we only had, some of them were like only newborns, like maybe a month or 2 months old. And my guinea pigs that I had, my brother was taking care of some of them, I was taking care of the other ones. And like Mom said, they just passed away for no reason. Now, it could have been out of loneliness.
Or just because there's some infants and cats and creatures like that do pass away, unfortunately.
But it's it was so...
But I'm thinking of like Peanut, Eddie.
Oh yeah, all the
like,
cats
I mean, it's just... King, I miss our dog so much. He was so good in that. But it's like from the time that we started having this stuff in that house, his health just started failing more and more and more and more. And then we lost our boy, you know, and he didn't want to go, but we lost him.
I think the weirdest part about that house is there was a leak in the ceiling. And under that leak, Kingy, he had a seizure, and that's how he passed away. Well, under that same exact spot, Pee-wee, my cat that I still have, thank God, had a seizure in that exact same spot.
Major seizures. We thought for sure too, like, that was scary.
I was so scared. That is my, he is my soul animal. That is my boy. Yeah. Anything happens to him, I'm devastated. But I was freaking out. I was like, oh my god. You know, we originally thought it was because of these treats.
Pounce treats.
That we were giving them, which are still being sold, by the way, after so many people saying, oh my god, my cat had this happen to them. My cat actually died because I kept on giving them this, and blah, 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 blah. They're still being sold. But we thought that it was because we gave him the pounce treats that's what caused the seizure. Now, I'm starting to think, like, that's fucking ironic that it was in the exact same
Eddie
spot.
Eddie went over there. Before Eddie died, he went right over to that spot.
That exact same spot.
There's just too many things going on, and I know we're rambling on and on and on, because this was supposed to all be about Cody and Satori, and it is almost midnight here now. But we're just trying to make a point is, we're debunking Cody and Satori, and so is everybody else. If you want to try to debunk us, fine and dandy. We assure you, we try to do the debunking ourselves. We go everything that we can do, go out of our way, and try everything to debunk stuff. And again, like we said about the flashlight thing, normally in any other circumstances, I'd say the flashlight method is bullshit. But if you go back, Jason Hawes and them use it, a lot of paranormal investigators use it. We literally can, if you look at our clip, this is not a plug for the channel, but please, go ahead and watch it. especially where the flashlight is, you can see that beam, and even in our newest, just watch the beam on the flashlight real close and you'll see what we're talking about. But if you have any questions, any comments, please be kind. I know, like, somebody, like I said, had made the comment about how could you still like Satori, and again, like I said, I'm not, I'm just one of the people that likes to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. If I don't know them, so they seem like nice people to me, but that after watching them more and more and more, I can't give them the benefit of the doubt anymore. I literally can't call them nice people at this point. I mean, maybe outside of what they're doing, they might be. I don't know, but what they're doing is wrong. It's taking advantage of too many people, and they're really taking advantage of Sam and Colby. I'm sorry, Sam and Colby, but you guys, you should just come out and say, hey, yeah. There was a deal that was made between us, and now something. Just come out and be honest. It was like I said with the lawyer thing and that, you get lawyers, they're probably the most hated people on the face of the earth because of the job that they do, but once they're outside of the courtroom, some of them's the nicest people you ever want to meet. But with that rambling on and that, we usually end our thing. She starts hers with her facts. I end mine with a quote, and we're going to call it quits. Please hit the bell. Please subscribe. Please comment if you want that. It's only a $10 gift card, guys, but I do have it. It's ready. I mean, you'll be able to use it immediately. It's ready. I don't need to send it to you or anything. It's ready. Just find out what was off about that video, and in the future we'll probably do some more stuff like that. But to end here with, since we're talking about the paranormal, I don't really know. I tried to research. I don't know who said this, and whoever did, thank you for the quote, and hopefully I can find out, maybe say in the next one. But the quote is, when you reach out with your energy, you touch more than you can see, which is very appropriate with what we do. So with that, and I've rambled on enough, you guys are probably saying, Diane, will you just shut the fuck up already? So with that, we're going to say, tune in
and peace out.